Finally, I have my hands on a Z690 motherboard that supports DDR4. It's taken a little while, but I'm really glad to have this in because the results aren't quite what I expected. Now, in theory, both of these chips should perform pretty similarly, being the same architecture, just with a few different cores between them, but in practice, they're more different than I thought they would be, so let me take you through my results and you can see what I mean. First off, as a brief refresher, these are Intel's newest generation of CPUs, codenamed Alder Lake. Specifically, I'm using the 12600K and i9 12900K, and among the variety of significant changes, including 2 different types of CPU cores, is support for both the current generation memory called DDR4 or double data rate Gen 4 and the incoming new generation called DDR5 or double data rate Gen 5. DDR4 and DDR5 have some pretty significant differences that I explained in a full video recently, one I'll link in the cards above if you want to check that out after this one, of course, but suffice to say that they aren't cross-compatible at all, as in you can't run DDR4 and DDR5 at the same time. They don't even fit in the same slots. That means that you need to purchase a motherboard that specifically and explicitly supports one or the other, with most motherboard vendors, upon Intel's recommendations, picking DDR5 to be the default setting and offering sort of special edition DDR4 versions of a small selection of their lineup that seem to be pretty commonly denoted as either specifically DDR4 or, in Asus's case, D4 models. And that's what I've got here. I have an Asus Strix Z690A Gaming Wi-Fi D4 board. This still isn't exactly cheap. It's currently listed for around £320 on Overclock UK, but that does seem, or at least in general, it seems like the DDR4 versions of boards are generally a touch cheaper than their DDR5 counterparts. Generally speaking, most brands aren't doing direct like-for-like DDR4 and DDR5 versions. I think it's only Gigabyte that's doing that, but when you do have that direct comparison or class to class, DDR4 seems to be a touch cheaper. Add to that the cost and just outright inability to purchase DDR5 right now, and you're left with not so much a decision as a requirement to use DDR4 instead. But how does that perform with these newer chips? I mean, it must be terrible if Intel says you should probably use DDR5 instead, right? Well, looking at the Puget Bench results from After Effects, you'd sure think so. I mean, the 12600K using DDR4 scores almost 14% slower than the same chip using DDR5. The i9 is similar, although a little less severe with only a 5% performance hit when using DDR4 instead, but still, a loss is a loss. In Premiere, it's the same story. Almost 10% less performance from the i5 and around 6.5% less on the i9. Photoshop is a little more interesting, as with the i5 reporting 11% less performance, but the i9 reporting almost 10% more. A bit odd, I know. And actually it remains confusing, as in Blender and the BMW scene, the i5 drops only like 1.3% when using DDR4 instead of DDR5, but the i9 just straight up matches its performance with no performance loss at all. Neither change the order of the chart, so it's no big deal, but the i5 is losing 2 seconds compared to the i9 losing none. But then if you switch to the Gooseberry render, well, that's even more strange because the DDR5 or the DDR4 equipped i9 actually runs marginally faster, while the i5 actually drops a place on the rankings, albeit only by 1% slower than its DDR5 result, but still, again, losing performance. And in Cinebench R23, that's also pretty confusing, as in the single-thread results, the i5's DDR4 run was around 2% faster than the DDR5 run, but on the i9 it was the other way around, about 1% slower. But in multi-threaded, both the i5 and i9 drop between 1 and 2% performance respectively. The good news here is that if you exclude the Adobe Suite apps, the performance differences that we're seeing here are pretty, well, small. We're talking 1, 2, 3%, that kind of thing, and so it's not a massive deal. And even if you do include the Adobe apps, again, I don't think that the performance difference here is significant enough to drastically affect your usage experience, if that's what you're going with. Okay, so on the whole, it doesn't look so bad, but what about the all-important gaming results? Well, that's rather mixed too. Microsoft Flight, especially on the i9, offered more performance using DDR4 than 5, with a significant improvement of over 10% on the 12900K, but a more measured around 2% performance improvement on the i5 12600K instead. Fortnite is pretty much, well, it's almost an exact match. They're well within margin of error of each other with only 1 or 2 FPS difference, and when we're talking about 1 or 2 FPS difference at 260 to 270 FPS, well, that's not a significant factor. Watch Dogs, on the other hand, shows a significant or a pretty major performance hit on both chips, netting 12% less performance on the i5 and not far off 20% less on the i9. Even the 1% low figures drop by over 10% on both chips. Well, of course, it is still perfectly playable. It's far from ideal, and it actually erodes the lead that these new chips have over AMD's Ryzen CPUs and even the previous generation Intel ones. Cyberpunk also suffers with around an 8% performance loss from the i9 and almost 15% less on the i5, which is enough to take it from pretty much the top of the pack to more solidly midfield. Interestingly though, the 1% low figures actually remain relatively high, especially compared to the average FPS, meaning that despite it basically matching or tying with the Ryzen 9 5900X on average, you likely have a slightly better actual gaming experience playing on the i5, even with DDR4. Lastly, in CSGO, both chips drop places compared to their peers, with the i5 taking a much larger dive. The 12900K slips behind the remaining 5th gen Ryzen CPUs that I've tested, if only just, but the 12600K drops almost 100 FPS average, taking it pretty much to the back of the pack, save for the last gen 11600K. Now, of course, I'm talking about going from 500 to 400 FPS here, so you will not perceive that difference at all, but it's pretty interesting for me to see that much of a swing in performance. Taking a look at just the two Alder Lake chips and their DDR4 and 5 runs, and setting the DDR5 run to sort of 100% performance, you can see that on average, the i9 drops around 4% worth of performance across all of these games. By comparison, the i5 drops more like 7% across both the average and 1% low figures, or more like 9% if you only look at the average FPS results. While that isn't a complete deal breaker by far, it does change the price to performance ratio, especially considering the added cost of the motherboard. Even a £120 B550 board can support any Ryzen CPUs relatively well, and a more reasonable £150 to £180 board will be more than enough, compared to the sort of 260 that what it should be for a relatively budget class board, or the 320 for this one for Z690. Taking the current pricing of all of the chips that I've tested, CPU alone, using the DDR4 actually drops the i5's FPS per pound to almost match that of the Ryzen 5800X, rather than rivaling the much cheaper 5600X with DDR5. The new i9 still sits comfortably at the bottom of the chart here, but even so, using DDR4 sinks it even lower. When you factor in the cost of the motherboard and RAM as well, which for the sake of argument, I've picked £130 for any DDR4 kit and £300 for a DDR5 kit. That's the last price I saw the Corsair kit I've been using actually listed for. I also picked £180 for a B550 Ryzen board, which is actually on the top end, 210 for a Z590 board, and 320, aka this board and a similar class DDR5 one, for any Z690 boards. If you factor all that in, you get a rather interesting comparison, as the only Intel chip that comes even remotely close to the top is the last gen 11600K, which is only just ahead of the 5900X and noticeably behind both the 58 and 5600Xs respectively. The 12600K with DDR4 does come out ahead compared to using DDR5, but not all that much. Even going with a cheaper board, which of course would definitely help here, but you could also say the same for all of the other platforms and options. And so from a sheer price perspective, it's rather hard to argue that these new chips are an exceptional value. Of course, even with DDR4, they do clearly offer a very impressive amount of performance, and if that's what you're interested in, if you're interested in the hybrid architecture, of course the sort of compute performance as well, then in theory this is still a reasonable option, although the pricing, even just of the motherboards themselves, does make it a very difficult value proposition, especially compared to B550, which is obviously a relatively mature platform and is therefore both bug-free and is also a fair bit cheaper for getting more for your money for sure. So yeah, I think that's the sort of balance of it. If you'd have any thoughts yourself, I would love to hear them in the comments down below. What do you think of using these chips with DDR4 versus DDR5? Would you pick them up yourself, go with Ryzen or maybe last gen Intel instead, or are you just not upgrading right now? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'll have links to both this board and both of these chips in the description down below for you. Those will likely be Amazon affiliate links that will take you to your local Amazon store, where you can see pricing when and where you watch this, because it can and does vary, especially by region and especially right now. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, you can do so in a load of ways. Of course, the easy one, hitting that subscribe button and turning on the bell notification icon to be notified of all of these new videos. There's new ones every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so do stay tuned. You can also support directly through stuff like the YouTube join button, where you get access to our Money Men Discord chat, sponsor-free videos, and some cool emojis to use in the comments and on our weekly live streams as well. Or you could support on Patreon instead if you'd rather. You can also pick up a hoodie or t-shirt like this one, or if you want to support less directly, or still very directly, but not, paying something specifically, then you can check out the affiliate links that are in the description down below. There's a load of different ones, including places like Overclocks UK. If you're buying from there, feel free to check that out. And otherwise, thanks for watching. There'll be plenty more videos on the end cards you can check out. Like I said, the DDR5 explained video, or the numerous different reviews, even Z690 explained, if you're interested. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next video.